Hello, everyone. It's Sibyl Star. I'm here to give the astrology forecast for the Virgo new moon, or excuse me, full moon, not new moon. The Virgo full moon, the sun is in Pisces, the moon in Virgo. And I'm calling this dreaming our new world into being, because that's really where we're at, is dreaming our world into being, and it is a new world. So let me show you the chart before we go any further. I'm going to screen share here. All right. All right. So here we are. So what we have is the moon is over here in Virgo, 5 degrees, 23 minutes of Virgo, opposite the sun at 5 degrees of Pisces. 5 degrees, 23 minutes of Pisces. And this occurs on February 24th, 4:32 a.m. That's Pacific time. So you have to convert that to your time. And this Pisces sun is conjunct the planet Mercury, god of the mind, conjunct Saturn here in Pisces. And we also have Neptune, the ruler of Pisces in Pisces, and the goddess, the asteroid Hygeia, the goddess of healing. And of course, you know, Pisces and Virgo are both signs of healing. You know, Pisces is very much about spiritual healing, and Virgo is very much about physical healing and where they intersect. All right, so we have a couple of other things going on. We, of course, have the Pluto is here in Aquarius and is widely conjunct this very tight Mars-Venus conjunction in Aquarius. Pluto is at 1 degree, Mars is at 8, and Venus is at 9, okay? And the Mars-Venus conjunction in Aquarius is in a square to Jupiter. We're going to talk about what that means. And then we also have Chiron, a very tight Chiron South Node conjunction. The exact conjunction happened on February 19th, but it's still very definitely in play. All right, so let us get on to what all of this actually means. All right, so of course we know that, you know, full moon, it happens every month. And this is when the light of the sun is reflected off of the moon in a full way. The whole moon is exposed. The moon has no light of her own. So it's always an integration of both signs. It's the axis. Okay. And we know that the moon activates the emotional body and waters of the earth through the tides. And they say Mother Earth herself rises a full 6 inches to meet the moon. And there is often behavioral disturbances at this time. And anyone who works in the service profession, such as nursing, police work, firemen, anything like that, will tell you things do get crazy at the full moon. That's why they used to call people, when they got a little crazy, lunatics after the full moon. All right, so to begin with, what does all this actually mean? Well, first off, we have the sun is in Pisces. The sun moved into Pisces on late in the day on February 18th. And Pisces is the archetype of the mystic. It's a very energetically sensitive kind of an energy and feels the suffering of the world. That's why it's so important to have good emotional boundaries, so you know what is yours and what is not yours. Pisces are the dreamers in both senses, in the visionary sense as well as in the world of dreams. You can often have very powerful dreams when the sign Pisces is strong, but it's also visionary. Like I said, we're dreaming a new world into being through our visions. It brings in a strong imagination and our intuition. It's a very creative energy, especially with sound and music. But I've also found many of those with a strong Piscean energy also good at math. And I actually find that Pisces is a shapeshifter. Whenever a Pisces comes to me, someone with strong Piscean energy, I really don't know what I'm going to get. But usually they are sensitive and dreamers and have a strong imagination and intuition. But like I said, can also have some strong math skills. They're shapeshifters. And by a shapeshifter, I mean somebody who can feel the energy and kind of feel what needs to happen. I don't have Pisces, but I do have Neptune conjunct my ascendant from the 12th house. And I was once told by a psychic that I was a nurse for like 40 years, and that I was a shapeshifter, and that I could go into a room and like feel what was happening with my patients and just knew where to put my hands, what to say. And I would say that's absolutely true. I could just feel the energy. I knew what was happening and I knew how to respond. And so that's a very Piscean, Neptunian kind of an energy. The shadow is that there can be escapism. With all this sensitivity, there can be a desire to numb oneself, to not feel what is happening in the world. And so it can bring about addictions, and not just with drugs, but with shopping, with TV, with gambling, with so many different ways that we can step into unconsciousness and not feel. Okay, to tune out, as they say, to tune out when we really need to stay tuned in and feel what is happening, but not take it on as our own. And that's kind of the issue too, is that being a rescuer or a victim could be a Pisces shadow side, is taking on the suffering as our own and trying to rescue, or feeling like we're a victim. Okay, and they can both happen with Pisces. All right. Now the moon is in Virgo, the opposite sign. So it of course is the counterbalance, and they are to find the integration of both. So the Virgo makes order out of chaos. It can be very practical and detail oriented, very analytical thinking. It's really about self-improvement. Virgo gets caught in the web of Virgo self-criticism if there is a desire for perfection. And it is recognizing that we're here on earth and we will never be perfect, but as spiritual beings, we're always perfect. And I always love that, that saying is, from dust we came and to dust we shall return, and in between all we do is dust. And to know just how much chaos can we live with, okay? Because it's always, we turn our head and it's always going to return to chaos, okay? All right. Virgo is very related to health and healing. Like I said, Pisces is very much about spiritual healing, whereas Virgo is very much about healing of the body. We see many people who carry a strong Virgo imprint are healers, nurses, doctors, nutritionists, herbalists, healing with things of the body and of the earth. Virgo recognizes that work as sacred. It's called the priestess archetype because there is the recognition of that love in action is our work, and that it is sacred. There is the idea of mindfulness, that there is no difference between the sacred and the mundane. It is all how we approach it. That every moment is sacred. And Virgo reminds us of that. Virgo, I like to call the god of small things, and reminds us it's a very kind energy and random acts of kindness. The shadow of Virgo is self-criticism. It can be crippling. And then as we criticize ourselves, it then falls out into criticizing others. And so it's so important, like I said, to remember that nothing will ever be perfect on earth. And the moment we turn our head, it's going to move back into chaos. And to know this is part of the teaching, is how to be able to improve ourselves without taking it in as though we are bad. And of course, the other shadow of Virgo, or one other shadow of Virgo, is the desire to fix others. The Pisces Virgo axis is that victim savior axis. Okay. All right. And the Pisces Virgo axis is also the axis of the practical mystic. It is, I love this definition. It's the best one I've heard so far. It says it's the union of mystery with reality. It is how we infuse our reality with the mystery and know they are both true. It's engagement in our world in a spiritual way. It's about, and some examples could be taking care of the earth, gardening in some way, caring for those who are ill or have need from a place of love and service. Pisces and Virgo are both signs of service. Pisces is spiritual service and Virgo is practical service. So bringing that spiritual service into the practical world. All right. And as you saw on the chart, there are 5 points tethered there to the moon or tethered, um, 5 points in Pisces that are tethered to the moon in Virgo. And to me, it kind of looked like, um, the Virgo piece was an anchor, and it was almost like a balloon. It was like this, like an air balloon. And so, Pisces, it can be very otherworldly, but Virgo is very grounded to the earth. So it's about our connection to our bodies, carrying all of that spiritual energy coming into our bodies, anchoring and transmitting it into Mother Earth. And we know that there are many solar flares happening right now as well as we are traveling through this photon belt. This is really changing our world as to how many solar flares. We just had a big X one, but we seem to be having them more frequently. And they are bringing increased light, increased data and information, increased light from the mind of God. But they are also impacting us physically. So I feel like that Pisces is kind of representing that kind of energy, as well as how this light is impacting us physically, because we may feel fatigue, or we may feel really energized. Okay, so the key is to take care of yourself, to listen to what your body is doing. And if you need to lay down, go lay down. If you need to go outdoors and walk, if you need to get in the water, whatever it is you need to do for self-care, as this increased light frequency is coming in. The worst thing you can do is to blame yourself or be unkind to yourself, that you should be doing something different than what it is your body wants you to do. Okay, because this increased light is hitting the places in our body where and it's meeting obstacles and is pushing through those obstacles. Okay. And of course, it's also important to be aware of the victim savior axis, that it is so important to hold others in compassion, but allow them to have their own journey, where you don't know what their karma or their soul contracts are. We don't really know what is in anyone else's good. And to also recognize if you yourself are feeling like a victim, and how to, hold yourself in compassion and self-forgiveness, and take care of yourself the way you need to. Okay. And as we hold ourselves in compassion and self-forgiveness for our imperfections, so can we forgive others for that same, and be in that field of love and compassion. This full moon could be a beautiful time to do the Ho'oponopono prayer, to do some kind of ritual or ceremony with compassion and forgiveness for ourselves and others, and to also recognize that many are leaving this world. One reason is because their bodies are not able to handle these higher frequencies coming in, and they're going to be helping us from the other side. And to remember there is a divine plan, and we frequently or mostly don't understand. Let me rephrase this: to remember there is a divine plan that we sometimes remember, but mostly don't. But when we can remember there is a divine plan and that all is as it should be, it is just up to each one of us as we make choices in each moment, how our life unfolds, okay, how we respond to the energy coming in. This is something we signed up for. Right. And it is also important to remember that we are creating a new world, a whole new paradigm, and a reality shift into love. It's not just one incident or another incident, as we are in the process of the old paradigm crumbling and the new one coming in. And so how are we bringing it in? Well, first off, we're going to look at that Sun, Mercury, Saturn conjunction at the new moon. It's more exact on February 28th. But is present at the full moon. So Mercury, the god of the mind, is in Pisces. So our thinking processes are more visual, intuitive, and imaginative. And it is conjunct Saturn. You know, Saturn is about giving form to the formless. It can be a very creative process as it allows more focus. This time is about making our dreams real, but we must still walk in the 3D world of the present and crumbling while dreaming in the new world that is coming. And so both Saturn and Mercury are conjunct the sun, and the sun is our star of creation. And so the creative process is put into place. The Pisces part is the dreaming, and the Saturn Virgo piece is what is making it real. And the creative process is the creative juices are flowing. But to also know that Saturn could be bringing in anxiety. Saturn in Pisces can often mean anxiety, anxiety from an unknown source. So Saturn in Pisces also says to stay centered within yourself and breathe. We are entering new territory. So some of the old ways of being and responding are no longer appropriate. But what we can always do, because Saturn can bring up fear, that's what he brings up, our limitation, he brings up the obstacles. And so when we hit one of those, it's just time to breathe. It's when we may feel contracted, might find ourselves all tight in our bodies. And the guidance is always to breathe through the spaces between your cells. For as you do, you will expand. Just think about that, what that could look like when you take a deep breath and allow that breath to go to those spaces between yourselves, your cells. That is expansive and allows us to move through the contraction of fear or anxiety, and come back into the present moment. Because, you know, they say depression is living in the past, anxiety is living in the future. And to realize we're in a time where we really don't know the future, it is unfolding. It's unfolding. So follow the flow of the energy and breathe. Trust the process of what is unfolding in your life. The indigenous elders say we are dreaming our world into being, but we have been dreaming the wrong dream, and that we must dream a new dream. And those new dreams, those ideas, those visions are coming in now. But we must be able to catch them. To make it real, we must listen to our heart. Truth is found in the heart. But when our emotions are chaotic, it is hard to know the truth. Is just like water gives a reflection when it is still, but when it is turbulent, there is no reflection. So this is so important to connect, to still our emotions, and to be able to connect deep within the stillness of ourselves. And that is, you know, often we have to slow down, we have to go into meditation, we have to or let's put it this way, that is what allows it to happen. Meditation takes us to the sanctuary of our own heart and the stillness within. And Saturn asks us to slow down, because it is only when we can slow down. When we are too busy, we can't. Our emotions are too turbulent. For the truth and guidance that lies within our soul. Okay. And as we step out of linear time, when we are no longer thinking about the past or the future, in the stillness, we connect to what is called the mind of the heart, which is the intuition. And intuition functions from the heart. It is our sixth sense. It is that place of just simple, deep inner knowing, because we are connected to spirit there. We are connected to our higher selves. Intuition is the ability to access insights and guidance and wisdom that transcend the limitations of the rational mind. It is a form of inner knowing that arises from the depths of our soul and is guiding us in the direction of our highest good. And we can only get to it in the stillness of our heart. That is when it speaks the loudest. I mean, it can speak at other times for sure, but it speaks the loudest when we make the time to listen. Okay. And normally at a full moon, we want to engage with others. But at this full moon, we might find that we need solitude, that being in nature or wherever we can access the stillness of our hearts. Okay, and especially if you find yourself anxious, it's so important to go out in nature, put your feet on the ground, step into the present moment, and feel what is really happening and trust that process. Okay. All right. Now we have a couple of fixed stars that are really strong at this full moon. The sun at 5 degrees of Pisces is conjunct a star called Fomalhaut. We talked about it before. At 3 degrees of Pisces, it connects us to the angelic realm, as it is connected to Archangel Gabriel, who is a divine messenger. So to know there's an angelic presence at this full moon, and we may receive some very wonderful messages from the angels if we allow ourselves to be open and be able to catch them. Okay, Deneb in Cygnus, the swan, is at 5 degrees of Pisces. And so it's tightly conjunct Deneb, tighter than Fomalhaut, but Fomalhaut's a bigger star. It is the stellar home of the elves, fairies, and all kinds of magical beings. The veil to this world will be thin, so there can be communication with this realm. And there are fairies that are incarnated as humans now and that are showing us the magic of nature. There are souls who can slip into the higher dimensional realms where the fairy folk live, as well as the unicorns, the nature divas, the mermaids, and all sorts of magical beings. And it's so important to listen to the children because they know this realm. They live there. My granddaughter says she's a mermaid, and that's why she doesn't wear shoes. And she also says that grandma is a mermaid too. So, and there is indications in her chart that this is absolutely true. She knows who she is. All right. Anyway, so pay attention to the children. It's so important. The moon at 5 degrees of Virgo is conjunct the star Thuban, which is the heart of the dragon. This is the dragon star. And Thuban is, the stellar home of the dragons. And I think it's just so appropriate that the first full moon in the year of the dragon, the moon is conjunct the star of the dragon. And of course, the dragons are visionaries. They're magical, mythical beings who carry ancient wisdom and they have an all-seeing eye, but they are also warriors, guardians of the galaxy, and protectors of divine will. So when the dragons come, they don't bring all light and love. I mean, they do. They are beings of love, but they also bring some tough love. It says we may need to confront our dragon of self-criticism with the moon in Virgo. And as I said, they are beings of love, and it's the heart of the warrior, the heart of the dragon, where mercy and compassion of the warrior is shown. Okay. All right. The Sabian symbol for this full moon is a merry-go-round, which indicates going round and round, repeating the same old patterns. So I feel like this new moon is saying there's an opportunity to get off of this cycle, to release old emotional patterns. And as we connect to the stillness within and embrace compassion and forgiveness for ourselves and others. All right, so we have a couple more things to talk about. Pluto, of course, at 1 degree Aquarius is widely conjunct Mars at 8 and Venus at 9 degrees of Aquarius. And Pluto in Aquarius is very much about a collective shift in consciousness. And this full moon is pointing to our relationships. And full moons themselves are often about relationships. And and with Venus and Mars involved, it indicates relationships. And so Pluto makes everything real. Pluto gets right to the heart of the matter, like what is real here, and it requires emotional honesty with ourselves and others. And so we may have relationship challenges, which may strengthen our relationship, or we find we may need to release them if there's no more life force. Some of our relationships may have run their course. There is no more growth potential. And that does not mean you still do not care, but you may just simply no longer be in the same resonant field. And you may need to let relationships go that are no longer part of your journey. Or if you don't release them, it may be they have a different role. They play a different role in our life. But if we do need to release them, it would be a time of releasing karma, of being able to say goodbye and wish them well, and that would resolve any karma between you. And the ones that stay around, the ones that go through any type, if they're impacted by this aspect, it can bring about deeper levels of connection, understanding, and trust. And so, as we come together with those with whom we are in the same resonant field, we are so much more powerful when we work together than alone. We can create real change through unity consciousness. And Jupiter is square this Mars Venus conjunction, and bringing with it the teaching that we have soul contracts to have certain experiences for our soul growth. And sometimes they are challenging. And we know that we have a choice in each moment in how to respond. But ultimately, but um, if we are having a challenging experience, to know that something good will come from the experience, because there are times we just, we know it's what's right in front of us. It is something that is ours to do or be involved with, and we must just go in, embrace it, and know that good will come from this and growth will come from this. But ultimately, I feel like the Pluto conjunct Mars and Venus is an aspect of empowerment. And just how powerful we can be individually, we are even more powerful when we come together. When we are standing in our own light in a powerful field of resonance, that is how, like what is it Margaret Mead says, never underestimate the power of what a committed group, a small group of people can do. When they come together and they are committed and they have the same dream, they are in the same resonant field, they can make it happen, and we are there. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about, though, is the North Node conjunct Chiron in Aries. The North Node is our way forward. It's our soul's intention. And it's also how we resolve karma from the past, because the South Node is our karma and the North Node is the way forward to resolve it. Chiron is a wound that ultimately becomes our medicine. And our medicine is our power and what wakes us up. And I should have said, and I did, Pluto is so much about self-empowerment, and Aries is also about self-empowerment, because Aries is about sovereignty of self, our personal power. Aries is the life force energy, the seed of the divine spark that comes alive. So it's like your empowerment has to do with what makes you come alive, what ignites your passion and compels you to engage with the world around you. This is Aries power. Okay. All right. So this, just to kind of sum it up, this full moon is a visioning time of coming to a deeper understanding of how to make our dreams real by connecting to the truth that lies in our hearts through the stillness within. It is a time of dreaming and visioning as it connects us to our intuition, our highest source of wisdom, which is connected to the divine spark and our divine plan. We may also be separating the wheat from the chaff in our relationships. The ones that remain are strong, deep, and passionate, and on a path that makes us come alive. There is a shift in the collective consciousness when we realize we are more powerful when we dream together with those in the same resonant field to create a new world. And I always love this quote from Arundhati Roy, because I know it's true. A new world is coming. And on a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. All right. All right. Namaste. Blessings to everyone. Wishing you a wonderful 2 weeks. I'll be back again with the new moon in Pisces. And if you're interested in a reading, I will have my contact information in the box below. And as I said, wishing everyone a blessed and wonderful 2 weeks. Namaste.